Inflation, hyperinflation, financial collapse, societal collapse, and World War III. The only unknown is the timeline. Lowered Fed balance sheet, higher than expected unemployment, and the stock market at levels hedge funds previously sold a lot. And just wait until the record-level margin debt starts to get called in. The modern monetary theory, an example of a scholarly snow job that provides a cloak of credibility for Congress to spend unlimited amounts and for Congress to monetize that spending. Currency devaluation destroys the purchasing power of the holders of the currency that they earned by their own efforts and risk. It increases prices but not intrinsic values. That's not GDP growth. Currency devaluation is a default on the promise to repay the purchasing power that was present in the currency when it was earned or borrowed. It destroys wealth, which is theft of purchasing power. Just look to Weimar Republic, Zimbabwe, and Venezuela to see how currency devaluation destroys confidence in the preservation of purchasing power. Central bankers have pumped the biggest wealth gap in human history, the cure for which their media tells us is socialism. America's worst economic depression is approaching. Be prepared. It will hit the US before 2022, and world markets will follow in no time. The sweeping nature of this pandemic that has rocked the global economy has created so much uncertainty. And as people cautiously begin to emerge from isolation, the economic as well as psychological damage, on macro and micro levels, is done. The bottom line is, we all need to figure out new ways to evolve and live in the next decade because that's how long we'll be dealing with the fallout. The United States is undergoing a profound and radical transformation, all features of which point to the fact of its departure at an accelerated rate from its largely self-proclaimed status as a global hegemon. The United States has lost ground in every single category that defines the power and status of a nation in relation to its rivals. We outsourced almost all our manufacturing to China. We sold our souls to Satan, and the CCP sold us the rope to hang ourselves. New jobs are for waiters and fast food servers. Dumbed-down American students get degrees in sociology and art history, while the Chinese major in science and technology. Our borders have been thrown wide open as millions with no education pour in for their free stuff. The CCP has no need to fire a shot. We are just failing more every day as we print trillions and trillions to paper over the black hole of debt. There is no way back. Universal basic income to sit at home and do nothing is on the way. Our leftists want a war with Russia and China as a distraction, but that will turn out very badly for all. We had a good run, but the oligarchs took total control and will just flee on their yachts as our cities burn. Prepare for the very dark communist days ahead. Over 18 million Americans are still on government jobless benefits. UBI is here to stay, folks. You will own nothing and be happy. America's greatest economic problem today is debt. If you know much about economics in a free market economy, then you know an economic depression is imminent when debt gets too high. America has progressed from a significant creditor nation at the end of World War II to the greatest debtor nation in the history of the world today. This is how America got into its economic mess and how it will ultimately adversely affect individuals and businesses not only here in America but worldwide in the decades ahead. America's worst economic depression unleashes its fury. You need to prepare for this storm. The silver lining to this economic storm comes with your ability to profit rather than lose upwards of 30 to 90% of your net worth when this economic depression strikes. There's no time to delay. Prepare for the coming economic depression so you might survive it. Welcome back to the Atlantis Report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a second to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to also hit the notification bell. The current crisis is not like 2008 or even 1929. The new depression that has emerged from the pandemic is the worst economic crisis in U.S. history. Most fired employees will remain redundant. Bankruptcies will be common, and banks will buckle under the weight of bad debts. Deflation, debt, and demography will wreck any chance of recovery, and social disorder will follow closely on the heels of market chaos. The happy talk from Wall Street and the White House is an illusion. The worst is yet to come. The reasons for the catastrophic decline of the American nation are a range of factors from the economic, especially energy, to cultural, technological, and military factors. America's deindustrialized economy is now deeply affected by what can only be described as a massacre of her small and middle-sized businesses and the implosion of the U.S. commercial aerospace industry. America's only driver of real growth, the shale oil industry, are facing realities that may make the Great Depression pale in comparison. The precipitous moral and professional decline of the always mediocre qualities of the American elites, from the corridors of political power to those of the military and business, is now spiraling out of control. America's disintegration is irreversible because the ruling elites are an organic part of the calamitous sources of dysfunction that have destroyed the country. More alarmingly, the trend also points to the possibility of the actual physical disintegration of the United States as a unified entity, whether the divisions are ethnic or ideological. The most profound fault line is cultural, between the coastal self-proclaimed elites backed by the secular, liberal media and the deep state, who promote the most radical ideologies as it concerns gender and race, and the working-class majority whom the former polemicize as deplorable, Christian fundamentalists, white supremacists, and climate and science denialists. This generation has become the hostage of the debauchery in economics, foreign relations, and culture that the baby boomers generation, most of whom never experienced any kind of serious difficulty in life other than boredom, unleashed on both the United States and the world, the minute they found themselves off balance due to trends in the world which originated in the scientific and technological revolution, which also globalized the world through the electronic mass media. This was the downfall of what has become commonly known as the Davos culture. The expanding freedom of exchange of ideas and information, now being curtailed, disclosed to many that for all the glitz and glamour of the dot-com billionaires and the green evangelicals, the world was and is still operating based on energy, machines, real production, and what amounts to basic physics and mathematics. iPhones do not grow on trees. They require gigantic resource extraction and processing cycles, which involve millions of people still getting every day into the coal mines somewhere in China. They require an electrical grid, the CNC and lithography machinery, which is being built around the world. They require massive metal ships and aircraft made out of aluminum, requiring bauxite to be extracted from the ground. They require the millions upon millions of engineers, designers, workers, doctors, and teachers who run the actual wheels of modern civilization. America has forgotten how it all works. It couldn't have been otherwise. An increasingly pornographic culture dominated by celebrities, sports stars, and media personalities, most of whom are barely educated in any practical sense but are nonetheless enabled to pontificate on subjects they have no clue about. Such a culture was inevitably destined to crash. It was also destined to ignore the most important features underpinning modernity. The proper valuation of labor and the distribution and control of the national treasure, while focusing on fake intricacies of the equality of races and genders. Investigating these factors sheds light on America's future, which holds very little promise for the country which had once proclaimed itself to be a shining city on the hill. The American collapse is not just coming. We are presently experiencing it. How can we deal with a catastrophe which is unfolding before our very eyes? Disintegration lays out some possibilities. This time it is not the Great Depression that is coming, but the Greatest Depression. The king of them all. Unlike 2008, this one will have the human despair of the dirty 30s. We don't have the money or credit to save our backs like last time. And we didn't even do that. The Fed just held the rates to the floor, and Obama got an easier ride. Glass-Steagall separated the money creation side of banking from the investment side of banking. It also stopped the money creation side of banking from trading in securities. The people that put it in the place knew what it did. The people that repealed it didn't. Without Glass-Steagall, the bankers could create money to buy securities they produced themselves in a Ponzi scheme. This is what they did. You will never have banking again in this country as long as the banks sweep your accounts every night and invest them in the stock market. This time it is not going to be a sequel of 1929. The Fed is not going to sit by and let the money supply fall by 1/3 to support the dollar and gold standard. More, they will pump again in old QE playbook, and there will be inflation, high interest rates, austerity, bailouts, and difficulty financing the national debts around the globe and some sovereign defaults. There are many people who like to insist that debt is just a social construct, and that it can be rendered meaningless by just deciding to zero out the books. But this is not true. Any debt, once issued, has to be paid back in some form or another, either by liquidation, i.e., paying it back in hard currency, monetization, inflating the money supply, or default, sacking assets to pay creditors. As mysterious as it may sound, there is simply no way to not pay back debt. That's because debt represents consumption in the present that is borrowed from the future, and you cannot consume that which has not been produced. As Say's law stipulates, we pay for products with other products. Therefore, in order to make good on what we've consumed in the present, either somebody is going to have to produce it again in the future just to replace it, at no profit to themselves, or we're just going to have to do without it in the future. There is no other alternative. The very laws of causality themselves do not permit us to wriggle free of debt without paying it back. Verily, verily I say to you, you will not get out of there until you have paid the last penny. This is a rather frightening prospect to imagine once you take account of the untold trillions of liabilities we've already heaped up to ourselves. All that we see around us, practically the entire American economy and all its infrastructure and capital assets, is already pledged just to fill in the production hole from what we've consumed without paying for it. We have already destroyed ourselves. We are only awaiting now the firm, fell footsteps of the reaper. Money can only be created through the issuance of more debt. The whole shittery collapses when people quit taking on debt, and the velocity of money dries up. Our entire way of life was built on sound money. We hadn't had sound money since 1971 or arguably when the Fed was created in 1913. Nobody wants this shitshow to end more than I do. One day we will be vindicated at great cost and suffering. There will be no, I told you so, because people are just stupid, and everyone will be doing what they have to do to survive. Our world then will be one ugly, horrific place. I hope to hell those people learn from the mistakes of 1929, the intervening wars, 2008, and the last great debacle. It's got to get a lot worse before it gets better, my friends. Here is my recommended list of basic investment priorities. Food, water, shelter, self-defense, fuel, toiletries. That is unless you have enough worthless $1 bills to wipe with, reliable transportation, preferably an older model 4x4 diesel pickup, tools, rural land with water rights, and some kind of camper trailer, possibly some precious metals. In my opinion, any responsible adult would invest in some or all of these precautions to help ease the stress of many scenarios. Got a 401k? Get your money out now. So what do you think? Are we headed for the greatest depression in the history of mankind, or is everything fine and dandy, and there is no need to panic? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. This was the Atlantis Report. Please like, share, subscribe, and please take some time to subscribe to my backup channels. I do upload videos there too. You'll find the links in the description box. You will also find a PayPal link if you want to make a donation. Thank you wholeheartedly to all those of you who have already donated. Stay safe and healthy, friends.
Shalom. All praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to you, Wakim, that is teaching the truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. This is a quick lesson going into America is not going back to normal, which there has been a lot of reports on America not coming back or going back to normal from these alternative media news outlets. And it's not, man. You can look in your own neck of the woods and can tell that America is not coming back. Majority of everybody is out of work. You go inside these retail stores and you don't have anybody at the cash register to check you out. Everybody's going through these self-checkout lines, or you may just have one person within these retail stores like Walmart and stuff that can check you out at the cash register. These jobs ain't coming back, and those are not even real jobs. And then you have the housing prices going up, whether you renting an apartment or a house or paying mortgage, the rent or the mortgage is sky high. And with these petty jobs, they don't even help pay off that unless you're saving. Then you're eating through your savings. So America is in a miserable state. Isaiah chapter 19, verse 15, neither shall there be any work for Egypt. Egypt is not talking about ancient Egypt, but it's talking about America spiritually, because Isaiah was in the time of, he prophesied in the time of King Hezekiah, which, Jake them, Isaiah, King Hezekiah, they were still in Jerusalem. So we wasn't in Egypt like before when Moses was living in that captivity. The Lord is talking about spiritual Egypt, which is Babylon the Great. So it's no work which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Like the speaker in that video was saying, he was talking about the numbers are not even accurate to what the media is showing, that this percentage of people are unemployed, which could be far from the truth. A lot of people are receiving these UBIs, these PPP loans. So it's like, well, hell, who is really working when the government is really stimulating everybody with these UBI checks? I have even witnessed people saying that the UBI checks are more than what the jobs really offering them to come to work. So it's better for them to just sit at the house and receive UBI checks. All of these things are helping this society to crash, man, because they just printing out money from nothing, and people are just sitting, not even manufacturing anything. So, that is just a big catastrophe that's waiting to happen. Now, this is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 15 again. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Verse 16. Now, the rich, they ain't creating jobs in America no more. They're moving their jobs overseas for cheaper labor, little to nothing, versus them creating jobs and a failing economy. What the rich, which is the head, is doing is profiting off the poor labor and taxes tribute, making the head rich without even creating jobs. Which the head or tail, the tail meaning, the low people, average people, branch or rush may do. And we are in these times, man. That video explains these scriptures. It really brings the scripture to life. Verse 16, in that day shall Egypt be like unto a woman, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. Everybody that's in the know is participating or anticipating the market crash, because they're saying that a lot of these stimulus checks that they printing out has no backing value on it, thus making them create money out of thin air, creating hyperinflation on the dollar value. So the money that they print is nothing. So who do they owe from all this large amounts of printing money? Well, they owe their debtors. They are indebted to those who they owe. China, other countries that's allied with China, Russia, and them trade deals that America made. So what you think is going on? But this is all payback too, according to what Esau, the so-called white man, did to our people, the Lord's people. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. And we are approaching those times. We are approaching those times. Because they are ready to lock down this whole place. It says, verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In that day, when the keepers of the house should tremble, and the strong men should bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Yeah, there's only a few jobs out here. Like I said, a lot of these CEOs, these business owners, they taking their business elsewhere, man, and getting their monies through cheaper labor instead of paying an average American that protests against the minimum wage that the government set over here, which is $7.50 in some states a little lesser, some states a little higher, according to the rent and stuff like that the state has established for them to pay. So the infrastructure of America is going down. It's really being destroyed. And the grinders cease because they are few. A lot of people are sitting at home just receiving those UBI checks. You got people working from home. You got a lot of vacant business buildings that are up for rent. So these things are manifesting themselves that our forefathers prophesied about. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. You ever heard of the saying, the window of opportunity? Well, that's what this is talking about. These economic experts see that it's nothing but doom and gloom for America. But they always have this saying too, along with that, well, if the citizens of America do this, or if they do that, they go against the government, they fight back for taxes, lower taxes and all that. That's it's not going to work. Only a few are really in the know what's really going on. That's of an average citizen, so to speak. You know, and that's not going to really create a volume of help for what the people really need. And it says right here, and the doors should be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of the music shall be brought low. Yeah, it's not only talking about, in the midst of this economy crash of America, the job losses and all that, you have, these festivities going on, but even that's brought down low. The mirth and these festivities and stuff like that is brought down low. Jake music is not only garbage from what Jake used to make in the 60s, 70s, 80s music, 90s music era. It's also talking about the mirth too. A lot of people getting shot just for simply playing music. One Jake got stabbed in the neck by this Edomite for playing music. Jake getting violently violated by another Jake just for playing certain music. A lot of people in the mourning state, especially our people. So, the daughters of music are brought low. Verse 5, also when they should be afraid of that which is high, and fear should be in the way, and the almond tree should flourish, and the grasshopper should be a burden, and desire should fail. See, people don't have the desire to do nothing no more. They forcing it. You know, people going out to these lounges, these bar and grills, places, like they used to do. You know, summertime vacation and all that. A lot of people are not really in that type of spirit. You know, these tourist cities. A lot of people go out to these festivities, man, and it just ends up in a drunken brawl, leading to a shooting / homicide. So the Most High is pouring that perverse spirit within Babylon the Great for all this wickedness, especially the wickedness done to the Heavenly Father's children, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Now, you jakes out there that's doing these wicked deeds, the Most High set you up as a 2/3. You know, these violent acts, Jake against Jake, what they call a black-on-black crime or Latino-on-Latino crime, the Lord don't want them. You know, they are consumed with the spirit of Satan. But you jakes that are seeking the truth and want to hearken unto the Lord, then the Lord is going to excuse you from the evils that be in this world. So, like the apostles and elders and brothers been saying, get all the knowledge and understanding and wisdom of the scripture. So, in that day, like it says in Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6, wisdom and knowledge to be the stability of thy times. Because there's going to be a time when they're going to haul everybody to these stadiums that they have in the city near you, just like they did in Hurricane Katrina 2005. The flood came. They sent everybody that was destroyed by the flood. You know, their houses destroyed. Mainly it was Jake. They hauled them out to a concentration camp with troops, and you know, it was no order. It was no type of establishment within the stadium. They just threw Jake in there. You know, it was almost seemed like an experiment project from the government to see what would Jake do in the catastrophe such as that. You know, where they had to be rounded up and put in a really concentration camp. And you know, it was devastating, man. It was devastating, man. And the same thing is going to happen, but it's going to be without catastrophe from the weather. It's going to be catastrophe because this society is being broken down. This is our verse 5. Also, when they should be afraid of that which is high, and fear should be in the way, and the almond tree should flourish, and the grasshopper should be a burden, and desire should fail, because man goeth to his lone home, and the mourners go about the streets. Yeah, it's going to be it's like 2 Ezra chapter 15. Man should desire to go inside of a city and should not be able to. It's going to be nothing but war out here, man, for a morsel of bread. A lot of people, they fooling people with this gold and silver, talking about, you know, how the hell people going to trade outside of the system that is really established by the government. You trading with a regular person is obsolete. It's going to seem useless, man. That desire is going to be failed because what people are programmed to be doing. You know what I mean? If the banks are not out here, you know, the banks closed and, you know, just anarchy in the streets. Ain't nobody thinking about trading silver and gold. And I mean, where you gonna shop at? I mean, yeah, I guess that's the store, right? You trading with that individual, but that individual's trading goods that you can use at that moment for gold and silver. It doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna trade you 2 chickens for their, no, a person with gold would say, well, I got these 2 talents of gold. I'm gonna just trade you these 2 talents of gold for 2 chickens. Man, the person with 2 chickens gonna look at that person crazy, like that person got 4 heads. People ain't gonna be considering silver and gold in their day. They gonna want to eat, might want to take a bath. Well, they gonna want to take a bath. They gonna want to do everything that they did when the society was cool. You know, it was normal. It was civilized. But in that day, people are gonna be looking to murder his neighbor, man. This is 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 17. A man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and a man should be afraid. It's going to happen, man. You seeing little things here and there that these scriptures just spoke about, but it's not on a great level yet. A lot of these people ain't gonna know what to do in that times. Hell, shit. I'm gonna be honest. We gotta send them heavy prayers in that day too, cause ain't no telling how we gonna move. Cause it ain't gonna be no policemen in that day. It is gonna be troops, but shit, you run into those troops, they may either one shoot you down, or they categorize you as a threat. Then they may just send you to a concentration camp. You know, there's all type of evils that is going to be happening out here, man. It's not going to be civilized like right now. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their good because of the lack of bread and for a great tribulation. Those are the curses upon this place because of the atrocities that they did towards the children of Israel. It touched the apple of the Lord's eye, because the issues of life and death belong to the Lord, man. And these things happening to America is all the sins of the Lord. This is Baruch chapter 4, verse 30. Take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave thee that name will comfort thee. Miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoiced at thy fall. Yeah, they had us in slavery. They took the land from our brothers. They established, set up shop. They still have us in slavery as a people, all the 12 tribes. And they do Judah the worst, the southern kingdom. So the Lord is paying them back. Verse 32, miserable are the cities which thy children served. Yeah, we served hell in this captivity, man, America, man. And the captures of us that put us in captivity, and regular people, the average people, they don't look after our interest, man. They don't look for us to be at rest, but the Lord does, and the Lord is putting the hell back on them what they gave to us, but it's going to be double. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruins and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. Yeah. America's in this grieving state, man. Although they putting on this makeup to cover their wounds like a harlot, these damn people out here that's conformed to this world, Jake included, they're masking up the grief that's going on right now. And it says right here, verse 33, for as she rejoiced at thy ruin and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. That's what's happening right now. For fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure. That's the nuclear missiles. What you think is going to happen when America goes into the greatest depression? More greater than the Great Depression. It ain't nothing else but war. It was war in that time during the Great Depression. So it's going to be war in these times. But this is the last war, though. And the Most High is going to make sure that America goes into that war. And she should be inhabited of devils for a great time. So after the nuclear missiles destroy America, you're going to have Tasmanian devils over here dwelling in the land. You're going to have desert creatures over here just roaming in the land for ages. It says right here verse 36, O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from Yahweh. So we really should be happy in these times, because the Lord's closing up shop on our enemies, that they should not profit off of us anymore for our labors that we have done, and our ancestors. Read the book of James chapter 5. The prayers of those that serve in the field by force of oppression from our enemies. The Lord has heard our cries, meaning the prayers. And that's going out to the highways and byways, us declaring the truth on the internet. The Most High hears and sees that. And the Most High is going to make his move. The Lord said, prophesy to Israel, whether they hear or forbear, and also prophesy to the wind. So if Jake ain't hearing this truth, that don't make the faith of the Most High without effect. The elect is still going to be sealed. The prophecies are still going to move on, whether Jake believe it or not. So it's going to happen. It ain't like the Most High waiting on man to complete his will. Nah, the Most High moves man to do that. That's how America is like it is today. America wasn't beautified in such a way like this. Everything is damn near tailor-made for the average person, all the way up to the elite. You go in a grocery store, you get grocery stuff like that, or you go to college, you get this money for going to school and going out, fulfilling your career in the field. And it wasn't such a country or a nation like this in the ancient world. That's why when the prophets seen Babylon the Great, they was in awe, because of how America was set up. But we know that America is about to fall, and America has lost that beauty. But the Most High caused all that, though. The Most High caused this nation to be great, because he spoke that this nation would be great. But he also spoke that this nation will be taken down. And it's happening. O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from Yahweh. Verse 37, lo, thy sons come, whom thou sentest away. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of Yahweh. Yep. So Yahweh, while Yahweh shine and the righteous holy angels, they're going to come from the east and deliver the elect throughout the four corners of the earth, especially over here in America. So if you got this truth, man, count yourself as blessed. No matter what you see, no matter what you're going through in the mind, no matter what elements you got. The Most High spoke about these things that we should suffer, but the Most High also said that we are going to be changed in the twinkling of an eye. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, around the 40th verse. Matter of fact, I'm going to get that. This is the joy that we should be looking for, because a lot of these people They're about to witness the hell, man. You know, we was in contempt for a time, but the Lord is reversing everything. Now the world that was rejoicing is about to go into mourning, and the world of Israel is about to rejoice only. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse. We'll go down to the point. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet should sound, and the dead should be raised incorruptible, and we should be changed. Yeah, we're going to be changed, man, when it's all said and done. When the Most High let these missiles, the everlasting fire drop on this land and everywhere else, the Most High is going to yank the elect out of those places and be changed into a righteous angel that always stands before the Most High. Because we can't stand before the Most High in the sinful flesh, we'll die. So the Most High is going to change us into that incorruptible body, which will never go off, and we will always be reigning with the Lord in righteousness, full of life and joy. Everything we desire, we're going to have that's in righteousness according to the law, statutes, and commandments. We're just going to be living life, man, because really we do that anyway. You know, Jake try to get a better life by scheming and things, and they actually come up, but it's only temporary. You know, everybody desires to live that paradise life, but people don't know how to live that paradise life. We're going to go back to the Garden of Eden when the Lord comes back and hit this place. But it's only going to be made for few. So, with that, I'm going to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Shem Shai, Kum the elect, Shalom.